the PowerPoint on here. So my name is Rick Panganiban. I am a Second Life producer for a nonprofit called Global Kids. We're a 20-year-old education-focused nonprofit based in New York City. And the subject of my talk is turn off the damn PC and go outside. And that will become apparent where this is from in just a moment. I wanted to begin my talk just thanking TechSoup and particularly my friend Glitteractica for making it possible for me to be here today, both in the physical sense of being here as well as in the sort of larger philosophical sense of my life path. I think I wouldn't be here if I hadn't had the support that I got from the nonprofit commons in the, I think, the more than a year and a half at least of being involved in the NPC. It has been a really transforming experience for me as a professional, as a nonprofit, a person, as an organizer. I've learned so much from the people that I'm actually meeting for the first time in the meet space right now. And it's just really inspiring to be here and to share this with you. So, when I was thinking about how I was going to frame the work of Global Kids, I happened to come across this priceless gem of a comment on a blog on boingboing.net. It was a post a few weeks ago about how scientists were using Second Life to simulate various phenomena in the real world. And like a lot of blogs, you get a lot of different opinions. And this is one of the comments from a user with the wonderful name of Teenage Mutant Ninja Lincoln. And the quote is as follows. For God's sake, please spare us any more non-news from Second Life, the land of non-people who waste their lives doing non-things because they loathe themselves too much to turn off the damn PC and go outside now and then. I, of course, was a little struck by this quote, and I think a lot of other Second Life people were. But really, this is really like level 1 troll behavior. This is the lowest of just making fun of someone else's lifestyle that's different than yours. So part of me just wanted to ignore this and pretend it didn't happen. But thinking about it, I realized what a great frame this is for thinking about the work that Global Kids does. So I kind of broke it down as a way to explicate the way that we approach virtual worlds. So first of all, the Ninja calls Second Life the land of non-people. Well, that's not how we really see it. We see virtual worlds as not about avoiding human beings. It's about connecting with them in different ways that would be difficult to do in the real world. For example, you're seeing here a real-life conference that's being streamed to a bunch of teens on the Teen Grid. Just a little bit about Global Kids. Our work is grounded in working with real human kids in 25 schools in the New York City area. A lot of these are disadvantaged kids, mostly black and Latinos. We empower them with technology and we teach them how to be global leaders and to work on global issues that they care about, whether it be the environment or human rights or women's issues. So when we found out about Second Life about a couple of years ago, we thought, well, let's try this out and see how it expands our reach. What we found was we were able to contact other kids who also needed to learn how to be leaders and wanted to be empowered with technology. These are kids who are homeschooled, these are kids with disabilities, kids with social disorders. We even have a group of incarcerated teens that we're working with in a detention facility in the southern United States. So these are kids who wouldn't normally get these kind of empowering experiences. So Second Lifers are wasting their lives doing non-things. Well, we see Second Life as a space where real learning happens, where people are interacting with each other using this space. For example, this is an event that we simulcast for the MacArthur Foundation on March 20th. This is Kofi Annan being given an award at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. We took that event and streamed it onto the web. Up in the one corner is Second Life. This is Teen Second Life over here. That's there.com and yville.net. So 4 different virtual worlds and the web, expanding the reach of that event to hundreds more people who wouldn't normally get to attend this. Meanwhile, all these avatars are having discussions among themselves about what Kofi Annan is talking about, what human rights means to them. So that is just one way that virtual worlds do things that would be really hard to do in the physical world. Second Lifers, we loathe ourselves. That may be true for some people, but not for everybody. But we've been using this space as ways to teach self-confidence, teach leadership, teach kids how to collaborate together. For example, we have a project called Dream It, Do It, where we invest in social ventures that the teens come up with themselves. So groups of teens in Second Life and also in Yville now are coming together to say, this is a project that we want to do that we think is going to benefit our community. And that might be the furry community or the steampunk community, or it might be their school or their neighborhood. And then they say, we need $200 to make it happen, to set up this fundraising campaign. And then we get some people together to judge it, kind of like what we're doing here. And then we give them some feedback on it. And eventually, if it's successful, we give them the funding. And then they see a project from conception all the way to completion. So that's a real, it's a real world way to teach leadership skills that they can tell people about later when they're applying for jobs or whatever it is they're doing with their future lives. And lastly, the ninja exhorts us to turn off the damn PC and go outside now and then, which I think is wonderful advice. It's a beautiful day outside. I'm looking very much forward to catching some of that. But we look at virtual worlds as really being a space for promoting real-world change, promoting civic engagement, promoting political activism, getting people involved in their own real-life communities. For example, I'm in charge of a lot of our human rights work and environmental work that we do at Global Kids. We're running a project both in the teen grid and the main grid focused on the International Criminal Court, which, if you don't know, is the world's international human rights court that is now trying people for violating some really serious human rights crimes like genocide and mass rape. These trials are starting in June, and very few people know about this. So we're using Second Life to create a space called the International Justice Center. We can find out about the trials, watch them live in world, and be there with human rights experts and lawyers who are contextualizing it for you, explain it to you what it is that you're watching, why it's important that this war criminal is being tried by the international community. You know, imagine it's like being back in Nuremberg or something. It's this historic moment, and very few Americans know about it. Meanwhile, in the teen grid, we're running a project called Deconstructing Darfur, where we're asking a small group of teens to come up with their own social action in response to the crisis in Sudan. And it's totally team-driven. We're giving them information. We're giving them access to activists like Save Darfur and the Genocide Network who's here, and then telling them, what do you guys want to do, and how do you want to use virtual worlds to affect change? So I don't know what they're going to do, but it's pretty exciting just seeing them brainstorm about it. These are kids in the UK, kids in Finland, kids in Japan, kids in the US, working together using virtual worlds. And the last thing I wanted to mention that is super nerdy, but I think will be exciting to you, is a tool that we're launching called Switchboard, which is for people who are on the other side of the digital divide. And I know that question is going to come up because it always comes up. Switchboard is a way for anybody who has any kind of cell phone that can send SMS text messaging to exchange text messages with people in virtual worlds. We're starting with the teen grid and moving on to the main grid, but it's applicable to Yville, to any other text-based virtual world. So we're going to prototype it very soon, probably with some teens in a refugee camp in Chad, interacting with teens on the main grid from the teen grid from around the world. But once we know it's working and you know the server doesn't fall apart or anything, we're going to open source it, make it available to other nonprofits who want to use it to really bring in people who are never going to get into Second Life, never going to get into the web even, but want to have some interaction with people using these spaces. So those are just some small ways that we think we can affect real-world change using virtual worlds. So I reframed what the Ninja's critique was from the Global Kids perspective. Second Life is the land of real people who expand their lives doing real things because they love themselves so much that they turn on their PCs to change the real world one virtual world at a time. Thank you.